You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
So Mitch Marner says he really hasn't thought about tonight's game. Sure, it's Nick Alberga and Dave Pagnotta, boots on the ground here in Vegas ahead of arguably the biggest regular season game in recent memory. This is the Thursday edition of Leafs Morning Take presented by Bet365. What's going on, Dave? How are you, buddy?
Not too bad. Not too bad. It's, you know what, a little bit nicer than I anticipated here in Vegas. I thought it was going to be a little colder. It's about 20 today, Celsius. So I'll take that. But I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. First, I'd like to thank our great hosts over at Circa for having me here. Fantastic place here near Fremont and Old Vegas and downtown Vegas. So make sure you check it out next time you're here. But I spent the majority of my flight over last night watching the Vegas-Los Angeles game to get prepped for tonight.
Yeah.
Mitch Marner, a big-time goal, goes to OT, but a hard-fought game. Like, those are probably two of the better teams, at least in the Pacific Division. And I think the one thing I noticed is how healthy Vegas is getting, right? I mean, another win for them. That's six straight wins, and it sounds like Aiden Hill could come back tonight too.
Yeah, they're playing a lot better. A little bit more confidence with this group. I mean, they're already a good team, but the fact that they are starting to kind of see everything start to click is definitely a good sign for them. So we'll see kind of what they bring on a back-to-back. Optional morning skate for the Golden Knights as expected because of the back-to-back. But I guess, short flight from LA, still get a full night in. Not the worst type of scenarios for this club, but it's Mitch Marner mania. So not only does he want to get up for the game, but the other, his teammates want to get up for it too. So tonight should be an interesting one.
Talk about a great time to leave Toronto, by the way. I know they got just hammered with snow last night. I think a couple of folks in the chat were asking what time is it in Vegas. Well, won't lie, we're playing hurt today. It's 8 a.m. We're playing guilty, as they say back in the old days. But I think it's a 6:30 local start time here in Vegas tonight,
which is nice because afterwards we can. Have a beverage or two, or have a meal. Yeah, well, whatever. One of us has to be professional. I appreciate the fact that you're the one that's taking the reins on this one. But yeah, 6:30 start. I guess to appease the East Coast and the rest of us on the other side. But yeah, 6:30 start local tonight. Should be an interesting one. I've got to imagine you love these. You love the welcome back messages, I guess. I've got to imagine they're going to give something and dish something out for Nick Roy tonight.
Revenge aspect, one of my favorite narratives in professional sports, not just the NHL, right. But I'm very curious about the atmosphere and the vibe. Like, you would have to think quite a bit of Leafs fans will be in attendance for this game. Like, it's a quick jolt. We talked about the weather. I mean, it's not great in January in Toronto. I mean, relatively speaking, not as great as opposed to like a July or an August here in Vegas, but still, like, it's a good getaway. It's a fun weekend, and I wouldn't be shocked that there's more blue and white than people think or expect tonight at T-Mobile Arena.
How was your flight? Because I was in Calgary before coming here, and there were like visible Leaf fans that were coming down. Guys in hats, shirts, and whatnot, jerseys, 2 jerseys. How was yours? Because I think I agree with you. I think it's going to be decently Leaf populated. Let's put it that way.
I won't lie. It was trains, planes, and automobiles. I had a layover in Chicago, so I went from Toronto, Chicago to Vegas. So it wasn't a direct. So suffice it is to say, no Leafs fans on that flight. But I could see it. I know of a couple people. I think Steve Coolius is down for this game this weekend.
He
and
is.
You can make a weekend of it. You go to the game on Thursday and you stay till Saturday or Sunday, right?
Yeah. I would have done that. I'm off tomorrow, but going to LA. But there are some, like, I ran into a couple people yesterday at a bar, and fans from Toronto. Yeah, so I got in earlier than you did. I got in about 6 o'clock. So I had a little bit of runway, had a nice dinner and whatnot. But there were you could see some Leaf fans roaming around, and some people from Toronto that I recognized that I went over to say what's up. They're running around too. So this is a game that I think a lot of people circled on their calendar, even though the Leafs are going to be in town in Toronto. Excuse me, the Golden Knights will be in town in Toronto next Friday. A lot of people circle this one because they wanted to be part of that. They wanted to, obviously see the first, for whatever reason, game, Mitch Marner versus Toronto.
Shocker, Dave got a lather on in Sin City last night, but we appreciate you being with us today. And I'm just wondering about like the on-ice product and the reception. Like, I think when you look back at the tenure of Mitch Marner in Toronto, very, very polarizing. But if Leafs fans are here, and we can even, throw that into the conversation about next Friday, which is the real revenge game in my mind when he returns to Scotiabank Arena, kind of reception do you expect from Leafs Nation specifically, Dave?
I'm confused because I'm not sure, to be honest. I think, well, let me preface it this way, and I don't think I'll make many friends with this one. Y'all wanted him out. So you're going to boo him because you wanted him out? You bitched and complained about him for how many years? And now he's gone. So now all this talk is he shouldn't get cheered. He should get booed and this and that. You wanted this. So I don't know. I don't understand why this whole booing narrative and shitting all over him kind of thing is a thing. But that being said, I do anticipate some people to voice their displeasure today. And I think next Friday in Toronto, there'll probably be more of it. And from the perspective of everyone complaining about him for years and wanting him gone, I don't get why that's the narrative, that we're going to shit all over him because he's gone and that's what we wanted. But let's see what happens. It's going to start tonight. I think, like I said, I think there will be some booing and whatnot, or at least displeasure. It'll be amplified, I think, next Friday when the Golden Knights come to Toronto. But we'll see. What do you think? Because I don't get the whole let's go after him, even though this is what we wanted kind of vibe. That's just
we're divided on this. You know this. We have this debate via text on a daily basis. I would boo the fuck out of this guy. This goes more back to like every penny that he was scratching and clawing and going for. And you're going to animate me on a Thursday at fucking 8:08 a.m. Vegas Standard Time and fire me up for this fucking revenge. I would boo the shit out of this guy. It would start in Vegas at T-Mobile Arena. I would start there, get a lather on, Zach Phillips in the chat, start the Willie's Better chant. Then I would bring that over to Scotiabank Arena. Then I would get intense because I think it's more so about the story of Mitch Marner being a local product, fighting and scratching and clawing and being so entitled for every fucking penny. And then all this security conversations. Last time I checked, Willie's taken, the TTC, the streetcar. Everybody else feels comfortable in Toronto, but Mitch Marner has his back up. And to me, and again, not to get so fired up, because again, I understand your points. I get where your side of the conversation. But his comments alone last night, and I believe our mutual Anna Duo was down there for Sportsnet in LA. His comment alone about not even thinking about this game is an absolute joke. And partially the reason why I can't stand that guy. I'll be honest. I'm happy for him. Do I regret, looking back at that situation and thinking, shit, like I wish it worked out for Mitch Marner in Toronto? I'll tell you right now, on January 15, 2026, I think this Maple Leafs team is better off with this guy, Dave. Thanks for opening up this can of worms. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I was I was waiting.
Go ahead. No, we have this debate. We have this debate on a daily basis via text, folks.
Yep.
Full transparency.
I know.
I understand Dave's side of the equation. I also understand what I'm saying.
Yes, and I get what you're saying. I do understand it. And I do understand the passion tied to it, because I didn't want to say passion because of the whole Leaf thing. But anyway, I do understand the desire to go after this guy and to shit on him. I do understand it. I think it's a little extreme, but at the same time, I do get it. So I'm not faulting you or anybody else who wants to make him the pure villain in all of this. But at the same time, again, everybody, like, everybody from a sense of the overall scale wanted him out. So I just don't get the whole like we want him out, but let's boo him anyway kind of thing. That's just me. If it was different, if it was we wanted to stay and he's kind of fucked us anyway, then I'd get the whole like F you kind of vibe. Anyway, regardless, it's going to be entertaining. Now, I will say, yeah, the whole I didn't see that. Like, I didn't even know or whatever. This whole nonchalant way of going about playing the Maple Leafs, that's shit. That's BS. Like he knows. I don't want to sugarcoat that. That being said, you've got media that followed him out to on this trip. Media that followed him out to LA last night as the Vegas Golden Knights beat LA 3-2 in overtime. Obviously, there's a bunch of us here today. There's a lot here today from Toronto. This is a big story. So I get the whole significance behind it. I do. And I wish, like, it's still the same thing, though, going back to his, like, the biggest issue I've ever had with Mitch Marner and full trend. I like the guy. But the biggest issue I've had with him has been just the way he communicates with the media and whatever he dishes out publicly. It's okay. You could have owned up and been like, yeah, I know we got the Leafs tomorrow. I'm looking forward to this. He played one of his best games of the season last night against LA. You can't tell me that wasn't because he knows what's coming in less than 24 hours. Give me a break. He knows. So just be more transparent about that. All this, whatever. And that's if I'm going to be pissed off or if I'm going to be displeased is the nicest way to put it with the way that he goes about things. It's that. Just own it up. Like, it's the fucking Leafs tomorrow / now today. Just own up to it. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I saw those comments last night, and that's exactly where I ventured to. I'm like, man, this guy still can't be transparent and just be honest. Like, I mean, just be a fucking human being. Yeah, I was there for a long time. I'm a local product. I've circled this game since I signed in Vegas, and I knew I was signing in Vegas for the last 2 fucking years. So own up to it, play this game. And from the Maple Leafs perspective, fucking bury this guy. I want to see some passion tonight, folks, not just because I'm going to be in the building for this game, but show this guy like, hey, maybe you should have stayed. I understand everybody wanted him out, according to Dave Pagnotta. Show this guy what your team is now. Show some value. Show some flavor. I don't know. You fired me up here. I'm Jack for this game.
Good.
And I'll be concrete in saying, like, I don't blame Mitch for not waiving the no trade clause. Like, in a perfect world, yeah, I'd love to have Mikko Rantanen on the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I totally understand. Like, I never understood the venom from last year's deadline. Like, why would you waive at that time with the Stanley Cup playoffs around the corner? It's your last hurrah with your boy, Austin Matthews. And that's another sidebar story tonight is like Mitch Marner is a 2C. He's playing center behind Jack Eichel. We could very well see an opening face-off tonight of Austin Matthews against Mitch Marner. Are we just going to see them drop the gloves and just hug each other, Dave? Is that likely or what? Kumbaya fucking ya.
I don't know about that, but not having William Karlsson in the lineup has had to, kind of augment things a little bit for Vegas. And to see Mitch kind of be in that position. I would hope he's in the starting lineup wherever he's playing.
It's hiding under the
like
arena.
I don't think. Well, I think he's hyped up for this. I don't think this was a scenario, or yeah, I think he is. I would be like, you'd want to see again. I want the transparency. I want the openness. Just be fucking honest with everybody.
Yeah,
but I think this one is marked on his calendar. Has been marked on his calendar. I think next Friday in Toronto has been marked on his calendar. Maybe a couple circles because he's back home and he'll hear it. But just be straight up. That's all. And people in the chat can chime in on this one. But I think that's one of the things that everybody just has always wanted, or always ever wanted, was just be a little bit more open and honest with everybody about how you're feeling and how you're playing, like everything kind of tied to it. And from what I've surmised, over the years is that's been the biggest gripe from the fan base, has just been the fact that he's very calculated in how he, and I'll say miscalculated because I don't agree with it, how he always came off with the media and in translation with the fan base. I think he was a little more open about it. We'd be having a little bit of a different discussion and your blood wouldn't be boiling as much, Nick. But here we are.
Again, Dave, and we've talked about this a lot. I don't like the other side of the equation where it's like, woe is me, and Mitch is the best, and he's the greatest. He's at fault too here. Everybody's at fault. Our super chat charity partner is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a super chat. Proceeds from our super chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. Appreciate this from Tammy to start our super chats off for today's edition of Leafs Morning Take, saying we're not booing him because he left. Marner and his camp continuously villainized fans throughout this time with the Leafs and never took accountability. That's another big word, is accountability. When was the last time he came out after another Game 7 loss and said, I got to be better? It's always fucking we. Stand up to it.
Yeah. And that's what I mean by what I was just saying before this, Les. There's no openness and accountability. Accountability. Oh my God. Accountability. There we go. Is it is important for everybody, but for every athlete. I was about to bring up LeBron. Let's not go there.
Don't do that.
That being said, no. That being said, again, people just be real, just be honest as much as you can, just be open and real. And that's, again, from what I've gathered, is the biggest issue that fans have had with Mitch. And guys are brought up a certain way. They're taught a certain way how to deal with media. When you are always in the spotlight or you're a top tier athlete, you're groomed a specific way. And a lot of guys kind of open up and let the floodgates kind of come in a little bit and are, more natural with the media because it's more natural in terms of messaging with the fans. We never saw that with Mitch. And that's my biggest gripe again with him was that never happened. So I'm happy for him. He's in Vegas. He's enjoying his time. He's got his new home, Steph and the kid and everything, great on him outside of the stuff away from the ice. But all the stuff tied to the game, he definitely could have and probably should have handled himself a lot differently.
Kudos to producer Vic for putting this poll up here in the chat at the Leafs Nation 401. Would you boo Mitch Marner right now? It's pretty split. 49% say yes. 51% say no. Don't forget, following this game tonight, Zach Phillips will have the Leafs Nation After Dark for you. I'll be at T-Mobile Arena, and I'll come on the show and break things down after what should be an eventful night here at T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. And I wondered who would be the right person to talk about this. And I have summoned the one and only from WWE and TNT, Jackie Redmond. Dave's going to drop by in about 10 minutes from now, and I'm sure she's going to have a lot to say about this.
Yeah, and look, as passionate of a Leafs fan as there is, she doesn't always show it on air, but yeah, she bleeds blue. So she'll have some interesting, I've got to imagine, some interesting takes on what's by her tonight. And what'll transpire, again, more on Friday. That's next Friday. That's when Mitch and the Vegas Golden Knights are in Toronto. That's when things, I think, will heat up a bit. I think this is the appetizer for what we're going to see in a week. And she's going to dive in on that for sure.
It's a really good analogy, although I don't look at Vegas as an appetizer when it comes to nightlife, something I'm sure at some point in time over the next couple of days we'll dig into at the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, Leafs Morning Take. Wherever you find your podcasts, make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. This segment is brought to you by Table Fare and Social, the perfect spot to fuel up before the game or wind down after work, located right across the street from the arena and just steps from Union Station and the Metrolinx bus terminal. Table Fare and Social offers a wide selection of food and drinks with space for larger groups and a family-friendly atmosphere. Next time you're off to a game, check out Table Fare and Social, a downtown food hall right across from the arena for some great pregame bites and drinks. So we get set for this one here at T-Mobile, Leafs and the Golden Knights. And can't forget about Nicolas Roy either. He played 362 career games with Vegas, won the Stanley Cup in 2023. And Dave, I would say over the last little while, he has really started to find his own a bit here with the Maple Leafs. Like many of the newcomers, it took a bit of time for Nicolas Roy, but the last little while, I like what he's brought to the table. And in general, the bottom six has stood out for me during this 11-game run here.
Yeah, and it's funny because when the Leafs started to get going, it was when the bottom six started to get going. It was after, I think it was Joshua at the time that got benched and, scratched for a couple games. His game improved. Waz's game improved. Everybody in that bottom six kind of got things going. Stevie Lorentz, everybody. And as they started to flow, you started to see the team starting to come together a little bit. And then Austin just went off. So good teams need to have their bottom six performing at top level. And Nick Roy has been a big piece of that and a big reason why I'll also throw Scotty Lawton in the mix. A big reason why the bottom six has been so productive, because both of those guys specifically have really, really taken this team on and really performed a lot better. I've got to imagine Toronto loves to do this. They love to do the welcome backs with everybody. We saw it with David Kampf last week. I've got to imagine Vegas is going to do something for Nick Roy with this group as well, because the type of player he is, it's an important piece for a contending team. So he was here for a while. I've got to imagine there'll be some type of recognition for him tonight.
You know what's interesting to me, and I brought it up earlier on, that Mitch Marner's playing center. And how often in Toronto do we talk about the viability, the potential of Willie Nylander playing up the middle? I think it was last year going into camp, Craig Berube's first year, and Nylander played like 2 or 3 shifts at center in training camp, and they're like, no, this is not going to work out. But it's interesting to think like they never went down that road with Marner. Bizarre.
Yeah, and again, I think the primary reason as to why this is happening now is because Willie Karlsson is done for an extended period of time. His season might even be over. So they're going to look to see how they can, fill that void. And for now, throw Mitch in that mix. And I think part of it is, his defensive ability. You're a lot more responsible as the center versus the wing. And he's a great facilitator, but at the same time, he's also very good on the D side of the equation. So, you have that in the mix. You've got a little bit more ice to play with. I get it. I think it works out. I don't know if it's how long-term, it is viably for Vegas and for Marner. But it's working for now. And, it worked a little bit last night. I mean, it was the Kings. So, they're not the most offensive group, even though they're really good defensively. I think 5th in the league in goals against per game. But Vegas pulled it off. Mitch scored last night, 3-2 final for them. Mark Stone got the OT winner. Let's see how they produce tonight, and let's see where Mitch is going to be situated in this lineup.
In support of Sick Kids, JRock12, thank you so much for the super chat. The Mitch tribute should be Game 7 post-game clips. That would be astounding stuff from the event staff there at Scotiabank Arena next Friday. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to Jackie Redmond in about 5 minutes from now. I believe that's a TNT game next Friday, and Jackie will be on the call for that game, so that should be intriguing from that front. But I think lost in the shuffle of this entire revenge aspect, Marner against Roy, Vegas against Toronto, it's a big game in the standings for the Maple Leafs, especially coming off whatever that was in Utah. We granted them the scheduled loss. I get that. But, I think the response is so vital. Okay, you got you got back into a playoff spot. That's great. But last time I checked, it was very early. But I woke up today. The Leafs are not on the outside looking in again from a playoff spot because Buffalo is on complete fire. They took care of Philadelphia last night. So, that's the sidebar story for me tonight is the response. You got to find a way to get points to wrap up this road trip here, Dave.
Yeah, you do. And I mean, we're almost there. They got Winnipeg on Saturday, but hell of an effort on Monday against Colorado. I don't think anybody circled that one as a W. I think it was reversed. Okay, you lose to Vegas, you respond against Utah. but the oppo happened. So that's kind of what you got to deal with. And now you got to respond tonight because you're right. They're a point back of a playoff spot right now. This is a scenario where you collect a couple and you hold your head up high against the Jets that you've got on Saturday. This is an opportunity, whatever. You've got to go out there and claim 2 points. Forget about the whole Mitch mania. And I hope that's not something that they're dealing with. And I don't anticipate that really being the case. I haven't gotten that vibe from this team. But you got to go in, you got to collect 2 points. However you do, it doesn't have to be pretty. If it's ugly, it's ugly. Who gives a shit as long as you pull off 2 points? And then go into Winnipeg, and then you come home on Monday. And then you got Minnesota. You got a bit of a tough stretch at home after this roadie. You got Minnie, you got Detroit on Wednesday, you got Vegas again on Friday, and then Colorado with a random afternoon game on Sunday. So you've got like the next, and then there's who is it? Buffalo the following. Anyway, the next 5 games at home are all tough games, no question. So collect it now, collect it on Saturday. Gives a shit about the Mitch thing. And I don't think they're thinking about that at all, but in terms of significance, but get it out of the way, say what's up to him today, and figure out. But you've got 2 points here on the table that you need to collect, and with the way that they're playing lately, this is again an opportunity to build off that, build some extra confidence in a rebound game after just not having a good win against Utah, and then going out there and trying to claim 2 more against Winnipeg.
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Moments away here from Jackie Redmond dropping by the podcast. A couple other things I'm looking at. Joseph Alday's been on fire, 9-1-1, 2.41, 921, 2 shutouts since December 1. And the power play, like quietly, it's going bad again, man. They're 2 for 14 over the last 6 games. I know the zone entries look better, but they got to produce. Like that's my big thing for this game. Like a key to victory, I would say, is getting the power play humming. If you score a power play goal, you're probably winning this hockey game tonight.
Yeah, you got to rely on that. You got to rely on like first of all, you got to stay out of the box. Like this Vegas team will burn you in a variety of different ways. So be responsible on that, and then take advantage if you do get a power play. Definitely take advantage of that. Like this is you're dealing with a team that off the back-to-back, or into the back, whatever they played last night, and it wasn't here. Like they played in LA, so it's a quick trip to Vegas to come back home, but they weren't home in their beds at midnight. It was a little bit after. So, and there's an optional skate this morning. So you've got to, you kind of rebalance a little bit. And, coming off the road, even though it's a shorty, it does, play a bit of a factor. The Leafs have an opportunity here to take advantage of that. And again, collect 2 points, but you got to have everybody stepping up in this one. Because again, Vegas has a variety of different ways to burn your ass.
Dave, you do a great job with the league on a yearly basis. Do you have any idea what's up with the marketing? Like even the Winter Classic, the Stadium Series, like nobody really knows about that. Like me and producer Vic were going back and forth yesterday. I'm like, do you know Tampa and Boston are going to play in a Stadium Series game in like 2 weeks? And he had no clue. And like, Vic's a pretty big hockey fan, specifically the Leafs, but like covers the entire league as well. Like it's just like a barometer check for me. And the reason why I bring that up, I'm still disappointed that it took half a season for this game to happen, these 2 games to happen within 8 days of each other. I think it was a failed opportunity by the NHL to make something bigger of this. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah. Well, look, I'll put it this way. So, by the way, I'll be in Tampa for that game. So those types of games they went from national to local. They're much more localized in terms of where the focus is and where the eyeballs are. A, to the market, and B, to both teams that are participating. So for Stadium, there's much more emphasis in Boston about the Bruins participating, and then you've got the Bolts as well. And the games get sold out. So until people start buying tickets, a national type of thing to Again, just more localized. With this, like the schedule makers, even though a lot of it's now, computer generated, it's tough because some of these teams, you've got 41 home games, and some teams will be like, here's 50 dates, here's 45 dates, figure it out. In terms of their availability within their arena. So, it's not simple. It's tougher. Tougher to calculate. So I would throw this more on either the teams or the networks to be the ones that have to step up in terms of promotion and hyping this game up. Not necessarily a league thing because it's not a national type of game. This is more, I don't even know who's got it. I think TSN has the game tonight.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So like for me, it would be on the broadcasters to really start to hype this up and to push this forward. Maybe they're a little late at it and they're going to push tonight's game and then go into next week. But that's how I differentiate it because, again, not a league event, not a, there's nothing else kind of hyping this game. This one's on either the team, and 0% surprised they're not hyping this one up as a Marner return game or revenge game or whatever. But for me, it's on the guys that are broadcasting this game because I would think they would want more hype towards it.
Missed opportunity. And I know we had Bruce Cassidy, the head coach of Vegas, on prior to the season, prior to the schedule being released, yep. I believe back in July, and he had intimated the initial schedule, maybe he misspoke, was that they were going to play each other in October. So here we are in January, and finally this revenge game is happening. Yeah, that was the hope. And obviously there's, different iterations of the schedule, and you talked about it. A lot of it has to be changed over time. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. So as mentioned earlier on, me and Dave were talking. We're like, who would really hammer home the point of a Mitch Marner revenge game, and who's got the passion, who bleeds the blue and white? And then we're like, boom, damn, we got the answer. It is Jackie Redmond joining us once again here on Leafs Morning Take. What's going on, Jackie?
Yeah, if there's one thing I have, it's passion. I can always hang my hat on that at the very least. Not all Leafs or former Leafs can say the same. But yeah, no, excited to be here. I'm excited for the game tonight. I think there are layers on layers on layers of intrigue here. And I noticed you guys keep calling it the Mitch Marner revenge game. But I also think this could be considered a revenge game for the Leafs too. Like, you left us, bro. You abandoned ship. You're supposed to be one of our core four. You left your boy 34 in the dust, said, make it work without me. I think there's lots here. And I hope that we see a little bit of, I know they're all boys, but I think when they hit the ice, you got to throw that out the window and show up and show out. This is a big game for the Leafs. The Leafs need every point. So hopefully that's all they're thinking about and not necessarily Mitchie.
I hear you. It is a big game in the standings. And Jackie, I want to ask you, how do you look back at Mitch Marner's time in Toronto? Now that we've had a couple of months to decompress here.
It's so hard to do when we're still so fresh into his tenure away from the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, we still spend so much time talking about Mitch Marner in Toronto, even though he's gone. But I think in hindsight, he was a really good player, one of the best to ever wear the sweater. But I think that the way things ended for both sides and for the organization as a whole was toxic. And I don't think that that's going to change with time. Do I think that 10 years from now, when Marner, is pushing the end of his career and he's in Toronto, people are going to give him his flowers? Of course they will, because that's what we do when things are kind of over and done with. But I do think that, people will always look back and kind of wonder what could have been if things were different. And not just from Mitch Marner's standpoint and the decisions that he made and the accountability that he took or didn't take during his time in Toronto. I just think the entire era to this point has been a disappointment. It's not all on Mitch Marner, but I do think that when people look back on this era in terms of when Mitch was there, it's a disappointment and it had a toxic ending. I actually have been thinking the last 24 hours, I'm not sure that I was upset enough about the return that the Leafs got from Mitch Marner. I feel like I didn't react properly in real time to that. Maybe because of what was happening in my own life and just the craziness, but I've been thinking about it a lot the last 2 days, and I'm like, hang on, I haven't gotten properly upset about this. All due respect to Nick Waugh. I have not properly processed the end of the Mitch Marner era in Toronto, I don't think. So maybe there's a lot of Leaf fans that feel the same way I do.
Nick and I were talking about this earlier. If he was a little bit more transparent, a little bit more open publicly with the media, that, he wouldn't be shit on as much as he has been and was and still is. What do you think about that? If he was a little bit more, again, open and honest with public, that maybe the perception would have changed? Do you think that would have mattered at all?
I certainly think that it could have changed the perception, but I also, and I've been saying this for a while now, I think that Mitch Marner and all of the Leafs that really have been there in the Austin Matthews era, certainly prior to coaching and front office changes, they're a product of the environment they were raised in. So while it can be frustrating to listen to Mitch Marner, post Game 7 losses, post first round exits and all of that, while that was frustrating, I do believe that he was a product of his environment. And I think that a lot of those young Leafs, Matthews, Nylander, maybe not Tavares to a degree because he was a little older and had been through a lot already when he joined the Leafs, but they were brought up in an environment where everyone around them wasn't taking accountability. Everyone in the organization from the top down was saying, well, all or nothing. We believe this group will break through. Oh, things didn't break our way. We had a lot of chances. We got respect in the handshake line. Like, that's not all on Mitch Marner, but that is what Mitch Marner was surrounded by as a, child entering the NHL, right? Like, this is how he was raised. And we are all a product of the environment with which we are raised in. And so while I think that if he handled his media obligations differently or said different things or handled the pressure and the media and the fandom better, of course, I think that there's a reality where maybe that relationship between Marner and the city and the fans is better. But I also think that, he was kind of set up in a way with the way that the organization handled those players in their younger years that resulted in the way this all sort of fell apart. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no,
to me, it's like,
it makes sense.
The accountability it started, the lack of accountability, I should say, it started at the top.
Yeah.
And it went on for not just 1 year, not just 2 years. Oh, they're young. It was year after year after year. And I think that, combined with the inability, the complete inability by that organization to change anything out of, I don't know if it was fear or too much loyalty or what, those two things combined resulted in a very toxic situation that I think some of those players are still working through. I think we're starting to see them come out of it now. And you're starting to finally feel like, okay, is this relationship between the team and the fans, is it being repaired? Because it feels more fun right now, even though this team might not make the playoffs. The vibes are a little bit slowly just getting a little bit more organically light. And that's what excites me about the recent stretch for Toronto.
Yeah, I would say the good thing, adding to the flavor of this game, is both teams playing really, really well. Like, if this happened a month ago, I'd be like, fuck that. Like, when's the season end? Yeah. But the fact that both teams are red hot, Vegas has won 6 in a row. And just to wrap on the Marner conversation, like, I just think it's the entitlement that he comes off with. Like, he comes off as a spoiled brat, and that's what drives me nuts as somebody who's covered and a big fan of this team for a long period of time. But Jackie, you do a great job with your interviews. You hypothetically get a one-on-one with Mitch Marner. What's the first question you ask him?
Well, where's the one-on-one? Is it in-game? Is it post-game? Is it like I'm going to his house and getting an exclusive? I feel like context matters here. Pre-game tonight?
Sure.
Pre-game tonight, you got to be careful with Marner, right? Because he has a tendency to get defensive. And so you don't want to put his back against the wall right away.
I would.
But I think for me, I break that ice by, making some sort of comment about money on the board, about what's, the kind of the personal friendly stakes that might be happening going into this game, because there will be money on the board. Okay. On both sides, probably. So I think maybe I try to break the ice with that. If I had to guess, it probably doesn't totally work. I probably get a stock answer of some kind about, I'm just like focused on 2 points tonight, not really thinking about whatever. I'll talk to the guys in the off season, whatever it might be. But I think for me, it's a simple question. It's how much have you thought about stepping onto the ice and looking into the face, potentially in the face-off dot of Austin Matthews, someone that you spent the better part of a decade beginning your career with, that you share a lot of memories with. How much have you thought about this, about what it'll feel like? I think you have to ask that, because even if you don't get an authentic answer, maybe you can read between the lines of whatever he decides to say. I think that really there's really no other question that you can ask. It's like, you thought you would be a Leaf forever. Now you're with Vegas. You're stepping onto the ice and you're going to be facing your former team for the first time. What's it feel like? How do you feel right now? And if he lies or he gives you an answer that seems like BS, then that's still a moment, because I think we have really smart fans. We live in a time, in a digital age, where people, I think, can read through the bullshit. And I think people know what's authentic and what's not. And so even if you get an inauthentic answer, and this is something I'm learning as I try to grow myself as an interviewer and a broadcaster, is that sometimes that's a really great answer too, because you learn through that as well. Like, you haven't grown yet. You're not willing to actually be as authentic as someone like William Nylander, who will tell you really what he actually thinks. Like, who cares? This doesn't matter. We've lost 4 in a row. Doesn't matter. Like, he is somebody that is authentic, and it's why he doesn't take as much heat when he, I guess I can swear here, right? When he misses an assignment, when he doesn't back check, when things happen that are infuriating. He is like the kid in school that doesn't get in as much trouble because the teacher just expects him to be bad. The teacher just expects him to be talking in class. And so it becomes this like funny little rapport, like, Willie's disrupting my class again. Willie, stop it. Whereas Marner gets the like, oh my gosh, this guy can't, it's the lack of authenticity. And I do think that, I will say this because, I don't want people to think I'm piling on with Marner. I think Marner cared maybe more than anybody about the success of the Toronto Maple Leafs when he was there. I think it was to his detriment how much he cared. But at some point, things turned in that relationship between him, the organization, I think, and the fan base and the media, however you want to group those things. So at the end of the day, I think Marner's departure was the best thing to happen for both sides, because at some point when you're in a toxic relationship, you just gotta rip the Band-Aid off and end it, even if you might still love that person. And we've all been in toxic relationships. Usually when they end, the feelings are still there. You still have the connection, but you're like, this is just bad. Like, we cannot go on like this anymore. So we need to end it. And I think that's what happened with Marner and the Toronto Maple Leafs on both sides. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to go into tonight with some feelings. Like Marner saying last night he hasn't thought about it until last night. Like, that's the lie of all lies, if I've ever heard one.
There's no way this was not...
Okay. Yeah, right.
This was not circled, right? Yeah, exactly. And you touched on it earlier, where these are important 2 points. For the Leafs, because they're a point back in the playoffs, and then you've got Vegas, who are battling now for top seed in the Pacific, and just, I think, 2 points up on Edmonton right now. Anyway, bottom line, it's an important game for both clubs. Marner aside, what are you expecting out of this group, out of Toronto tonight, because of just the importance of getting back in it? They lost their first game in regulation in 10. They've been on a heater. Guys have been playing better, but these are 2 points that they need to claim tonight.
Yeah, it's a huge game, and we're going to be saying that about every single game for the Toronto Maple Leafs for the rest of the season. And hopefully, I think the positive side of that is that this is a situation that Austin Matthews and guys that have been there for a long time haven't really ever been in. They haven't had to fight this hard to get into the playoffs since Matthews' first season, maybe. They've been a team that has usually got a playoff spot locked up. It's never in question. Sometimes they've known who their first round opponent's going to be months in advance. right? And I think with that it becomes more difficult to sort of flip that switch when the playoffs do start. And I think that the Leafs have fallen victim to that. I'm not making excuses for them, but I do think that it is difficult to do. We've seen other really good regular season teams struggle a little bit when they get to the first round because they're facing an opponent that's been in the trenches for weeks just trying to get in. It's a different ball game, right? When you're sort of coasting through the end of the regular season. The Leafs are not going to be in that situation this year. They'll most likely be fighting till the very, very end if they don't, God forbid, fall off before then and it's out of reach. So it's a huge game for the Leafs tonight. I think that they should be more focused on the game itself than Mitch Marner, and I'm sure that they will be. But I do hope that we see some intensity from Toronto. I hope that we see I don't really want to see them engaging with Marner in a friendly way during warm-up or anything like that. I think that most fans don't want to see that. And so I hope that they are aware of that perception and aware of the fact that they're in a spot this season where everything needs to come before anything else, everything with the team. But I said this morning on another show. I think Austin Matthews is in the midst of one of his most important seasons in terms of his overall legacy. And what he's able to accomplish this year is going to impact our perception of him in a major way. Because for the first time, he's without Mitch Marner. And we can all agree that at the start of the year, he really struggled. And we were asking, what's wrong with Austin Matthews? What is this injury? Why hasn't it been dealt with properly? But the other narrative was, how much of Austin Matthews' success was helped by playing with someone like Mitch Marner, a playmaker like Mitch Marner. And so for Austin Matthews, it's important, I think, for him to prove that he can make the players around him better, that he can be the driving force for the success of the Toronto Maple Leafs, even though from an offensive standpoint, this roster is, of course, not as talented as it has previously been. And that's what's really exciting about the last, 2 weeks for Austin Matthews is that we have started to really see that. We've seen a more intense Austin Matthews. We've seen a more confident Austin Matthews, to say the very least. And I think in an Olympic year as well, where he is a huge focal point for Team USA, I think all of these things coming together at once are massive for Austin Matthews and how we sort of look at him moving forward. So he needs to be absolutely dialed tonight. And I think that rising to the occasion in this situation where you're going to be asked about, the good news is Vegas played last night. So I guess Marner wins because he doesn't have to do any media really until after the game. So that's huge for him, right? He just gets out of that. Okay, Paul Marner, did you call the league and request that this game be like this?
Probably.
Was what? I'm on to you. I feel like Camp Marner might have been okay, first meeting has to be in Vegas, second half of a back-to-back. You know what I mean? Who was pulling the strings on this? Because it feels like a missed marketing opportunity in some ways in Toronto. And I think the game in Toronto was on a Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So, how is that not on Saturday night? How is that game not on Hockey Night in Canada? That does not make sense to me from a marketing of the game standpoint. And I don't want to hear, only Toronto fans care about it. Yeah, I'm sorry, the biggest market in hockey? Okay, let's not cater to them. Anyways, I've gone off on a side tangent here, but my overall point is just that, there's a lot of talk about Mitch Marner going into this game, and it'll be the same when he comes to Toronto, and I get it. But I actually think that this season is so much more important for Austin Matthews. That's who we should be talking about. I can't wait for both of these games to be over so we can stop fucking talking about Mitch Marner because it's not his team anymore. It has nothing to do with it. I just can't believe how many people, sorry, my computer's doing something weird. I can't believe how many people are still talking about, they'd be better if Mitch Marner was still here. He had to go. Dude had to go. This is Matthews' team now, and I think that we need to focus more on that than we do Mitch Marner.
Yeah, I think Matthews would be a hero and a statue built after him if he stuck Marner in the teeth off the opening draw in the game and just set a tone.
That's
not going to happen. You're more likely to hug it out than that shit.
I wish. I will say,
Imagine.
I do hope, like, I just want to see Austin Matthews. Like, it doesn't have to be crazy or egregious, but like just one hard check into the boards, or one nice stiff arm. Like Ilya Rozanov in Heated Rivalry. Like, he takes it to Shane Hollander. He takes it to him on the ice and off the ice, but on the ice, he takes it to him. And I kind of want to see that just for the moment for Mitch Marner, because wrong platform. What does that mean? Listen, if you're not watching Heated Rivalry, you are missing out on like a massive cultural moment. Okay. You have to watch it at least to understand what people are talking about, because I'm telling you, this is a pop culture, like, maybe, I don't know how much you've stepped outside of the hockey world to see what this show is doing, but it's not even just a North American phenomenon. This is like a global phenomenon right now. It's not like totally about hockey, but there is hockey in there. And I've been asked so many times at WWE, especially, about this show, that I started to think my credibility as a hockey broadcaster was being questioned because I hadn't watched it. Like, everyone's like, you're the hockey girl around here. You haven't seen Heated Rivalry? I was like, all right, get off my back. I'll watch it. Oh my God. Like, I will watch the show. And now it's my whole personality. So you should watch it. You should watch it.
Sounds good. We'll wrap with this. I'm headed to Raw in a couple weeks in Toronto, back in Toronto. Tell us about that, what to expect, and always respect your grind. You are everywhere. I think you're headed back to Europe in a couple days, right?
I am. I'm going to Ireland Saturday. We've got a Monday Night Raw there. So this is all part of the road to the Royal Rumble. So the great thing about the Monday Night Raw in Toronto is that'll be the final Raw before the Royal Rumble. So in the wrestling business, we call that a go-home show. Nice. It's a huge show. The Royal Rumble is one of our biggest events of the year. It really is the kickstart to WrestleMania, the road to WrestleMania. So the fact that show's happening in Toronto, I love that for us as a former Torontonian and as a Canadian. So that's one big thing. It's just a big show in general. But we also have a partnership going with the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. I can't say too much about what that entails, but what I will say is that we have been working with the Toronto Maple Leafs to create some content, to try to sort of collaborate and see how we can sort of grow our relationship with that team. And so that's very exciting for me as a fan. I am supposed to be doing something when I'm in Toronto. I can't say what it is right now, but it does involve the Toronto Maple Leafs. And even if I'm not involved in it, there will be some WWE superstars who are. So you can look forward to that. It'll be happening in and around that day, either the day before or the morning of Monday Night Raw. So that's super exciting. And I just love that, the WWE looked at a franchise like the Maple Leafs and a sport like hockey and said, we want to collaborate with this organization. Because as we know, hockey is pretty niche, especially in the United States. And even though WWE is a global entity with massive, massive reach that gets millions of views and it's on Netflix, it is still kind of a niche product, right? Like, it has a huge fan base, but it's a niche fan base. So if you're not like The Rock or John Cena or someone of that ilk, and you reference, a top superstar in WWE to a random person, they don't always know who that is. That's why The Rock and John Cena are so great, because they transcended the sport. So I like seeing wrestling and hockey sort of come together in another way and help each other just cross promote, because a lot of the stuff that I've done where I bring hockey into wrestling or wrestling into hockey, people love that crossover. And I think there's a lot of similarities between the products. So yeah, I'm very excited to be in Toronto. It's going to be an awesome show. And I'm hoping that we can make some fun content for you guys with the Leafs as well. It's going to be cool. And also, I guess I'll see you there. You're going, right?
Yeah, it's exactly it. I know. I was going to say, I can envision a Dennis Hill to be running and he just rock bottoms the latest heel in WWE. Can you envision that?
Listen, I'm just telling you, like, when SmackDown was out west, Corey Perry got a cameo on Friday Night SmackDown. So if any of the Leafs decide that they're going to go, then you never know what could happen. We have a lot of hockey fans backstage. Number one on the list is CM Punk. He hates the Leafs, but there's the thing right there. Like, if let me tell you something. If Austin Matthews or William Nylander or one of these guys is like sitting in the front row at Monday Night Raw, I mark my words, put money on CM Punk, at the very least saying something to one of those guys as he walks by. It's going to be super fun. Although I don't know if you guys saw the Scattaboo incident from Madison Square Garden. He got into a shoving match. He got into a shoving match, and because he was injured at the time, like, New York sports talk radio went insane, even though there was a barricade. Everyone's like, wrestling is fake until they want to be mad about it. So that was so weird. So you guys just have to promise me that if there is some sort of altercation between any Maple Leaf, injured or not, on Monday Night Raw in Toronto, that you will not criticize them for it the next morning on your show, because it's fun. Like, let's relax. Relax. I
would just disclose too, I am trying to persuade a current Toronto Maple Leaf, you guys can guess who, to try and come with me. And it's been mixed on the reporting back, is not sure if he would be a fan of it. And I said, just try it out. You'll enjoy it. So we'll try our best to get him out there.
Is it Max Domi? Will you tell me if I guess it?
No, I can't confirm. People who watch this show and are religious watchers of the show will know who. But I wanted to leave on this note. You know, I live through you, Jackie. I'm a big wrestling fan. So a two-pronged question. Will we ever see you in the Women's Rumble? And will you ever take a bump? Maybe start with the second question first.
Okay, I will start by quoting the amazing Justin Bieber and saying, never say never, right? Like, I have learned enough times in my life that when I say I'm never going to do something, sometimes you do those things. Like, sometimes you end up doing those things. Sick. I don't have any desire to ever be in a match or anything like that. I love being an interviewer. I love helping get superstars over and that sort of thing. But I think if there were a situation where it could make sense or be really fun and people not, like, it's not that serious, would be a Royal Rumble run-in. Like, that is a situation where I think if that were to happen, I think people could accept it and suspend their belief to go, oh, okay, Jackie decided to run into the Royal Rumble. And, you know, I would listen, if Nia Jax was in the ring, I would be tossed into the 6th row. Like, it would be over so fast. But I do, like, the one thing I will say that I really do actually want to do is I would love to slap somebody. I think just like a TV slap is so awesome. It's so, like, that is baddie behavior. If I could slap someone on TV, preferably a man, I would love that, because it's very wrestling, but it's very soap opera as well. And so I think that would be really fun. Fun fact, should I tell this? Yeah, I can tell it. Yes. One time I was about to do an interview with Sheamus, and we were pre-taping it because there was some reason we had to tape it. So we were taping it, and he was a little lethargic and wasn't feeling super awake. And he turns to me, he's like, Jackie, slap me. And I was like, ha, ha, ha. And he's like, no, I'm actually serious. Slap me right now. Like, slap me hard. And I'm like, no, you can't. And he's like, no, I'm being dead ass. Like, slap me. And he leans forward and puts his face forward for me to slap him. And when I tell you, my slap was so soft, it was so bad. It was so bad that, like, to this day, I feel shame over my bitch ass slap. It was so bad. It was not a good slap. So I need redemption. I need redemption in the form of, like, a nice, hard, she means business slap. So I would be open to that.
I think you got to consult Stephanie McMahon for that. So we'll leave that conversation there. Jackie, great job. Thank you so much for doing this. I know you're busy.
Thanks for having me, guys. Enjoy the game tonight.
Thank you. Anytime. That is the great Jackie Redmond of TNT and WWE. And again, I live vicariously through her. Like, you guys know, I'm a big wrestling fan. What she gets to do on a weekly basis, she's so damn good at it. And she's so busy. She's everywhere. Like, the travel grind, like, even coming here yesterday to Vegas, I'm like, man, I really could do without the actual flying and just teleport me here. But she's going, everywhere. Back to Europe. She was in Europe the other day. So she killed it for us. And I think it was a perfect barometer or gauge for where Leafs Nation is at right now, getting the convo back to the Maple Leafs, where they're at ahead of this Marner revenge game.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, she was in Toronto 2 weeks ago, right around the holiday, something like that, for a TNT game.
Yeah.
Just a quick hey, how are we? Because she's all over the place. She's running around everywhere. But yeah, great. This was a great way to kind of just encapsulate what's happening tonight. and what's going to happen on Friday, getting her perspective on everything. Side note, I'd love to see, like, can we bring some of the old guys? Can we get Ty Domi and Max to do like a tag team match, or get
sick.
Darcy Tucker and some guys into the mix? I have a feeling that tonight might be a little bit more, maybe not in Toronto, but tonight, last night, they want to pull ahead and give themselves a little bit more breathing space from the Oilers right now, even though they've got a couple games in hand. Toronto needing, obviously, to collect some more points to jump back into the playoff picture, just being a point out. I got a feeling this one's going to be a little bit more grimy than I think we're normally used to seeing from this Leafs group. Marner issue aside, because of how important those 2 points are. Then you add that into the mix, and let's see. Maybe it's Nick Roy that's going to give it a go, or one of the other maybe Troy Stetcher. Troy Stetcher is just going to run Mitch at some point, and everyone will go nuts about it.
Maybe. By the way, the chat split down the middle through 220 votes. Would you boo Marner?
Oh.
So that's pretty epic. It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, NATION. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connexontario.ca. So here we are looking at the betting slate for this game. I think this game gets to OT. I think Matthews scores in this game, and I think Marner picks up at least one assist. What would you play?
I've got the under in this one. I think it'll be tighter. Yes, Vegas played last night, so I got the under going on in this one, and I'm going revenge goal, Nick Roy. Mitch.
I like it. Okay.
Let's go the other way. Let's go Nick Roy, revenge goal against his former team.
Good, because I won't lie, a lot of people in the chat right now not big Dave Pagnotta fans, but I think it's good to bring that aspect to the show where it's just not bashing, right? Like I think there's got to be a give and take to any conversation. So I like that we're able to properly debate the pros and cons of Mitchell Marner as a Toronto Maple Leaf. And I'll just add, like, does he feel safer in Vegas? Because I can't leave my compound here in Vegas. I don't know how safe I feel out there, Dave. Does he feel safe, though? That's the question.
It sounds like
safe?
I feel great. I got a lovely view right now. They're cleaning the pools and stuff because that's what they do at this time of year here in Vegas. But I feel good. I feel good. I'm comfortable. I'm safe. I know you are too. And that's, I'm happy for you.
Thank you. So again, thank you so much to Circa for their hospitality. It's been phenomenal. I want to give them a shout out. And we look forward to this game tonight. You and I will both be there at T-Mobile Arena. Don't forget the Leafs Nation After Dark, following it with Zach Phillips. I'm going to hop on from T-Mobile Arena coming up tomorrow. Jay Rosa is going to be back. He's going to break down what he sees in this game. And somebody you were talking about on your DFO show and your pieces the last little while, potentially wanting out of their respective organization, might be dropping by the show tomorrow, who used to play for the Leafs, not once, but twice. How about that for a teaser, Dave?
Nice. I like it. I like it. Does he have a family member in the National Hockey League?
Potentially. Could be a captain, too.
Ooh. Yeah. Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'll be watching.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. So we'll try to lock that in for tomorrow. Dave, great stuff, man. I'm looking forward to this game. All in all, fun debate today, and we'll see you later, okay?
Let's go. Looking forward to the game.
Revenge, baby. I love it. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. Thank you to Jackie Redmond for dropping by. Thank you to producer Vic. For Dave Pagnotta, I'm Nick Alberga. We'll talk tomorrow from Vegas. Take care, everybody. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews. We got clips. We got epic rants by Jay Rosa. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.